If the housing market feels different right now, it's because it is. Hi, everybody. It's your favorite self-affordable real estate agent again here, Erin. I still have that scent of the laryngitis and I'm sick, but I am feeling a lot better. Just the voice hasn't come back. So please crank up that volume and stick with me because today is actually very important. It really is. I was saying, the housing market feels different right now. It's because it is. But it's not just because of interest rates. It's not just because of prices. And it's not just because of inventory. What we're experiencing is a stretched demographic cycle. It's layered on top of, well, rate shock. For decades, housing markets moved in a predictable type rhythm. Early adulthood, you buy. Midlife, you upgrade. Retirement, you downsize. The latter years, you transfer your assets. Well, that ladder created kind of a turnover. The turnover, it created that supply. And the supply created the flow. Well, today that ladder has stretched. And when timelines stretch, markets stiffen. I'm not saying this is some kind of a crash cycle. I really actually don't think that that's what's happening. A lot of people keep saying that, but I don't think so. Don't quote me. But I believe what it is a timeline shift cycle, if that makes sense. Let me explain. Nearly 90% of homeowners with mortgages are locked below 6%, and actually many are well below 4% even. Okay? So that creates what economists call the lock-in effect. If someone refinanced at like 3%, and now they would have to borrow it like, let's just call it 7% to move, even if downsizing, that could mean higher monthly payments, maybe, more total interest, increased financial risk. So even if someone wants to move, the math, I think, initially will discourage them. Now, layer in equity concentration. Let's talk about homeowners that are like in their 60s and 70s, and a little bit of even. They basically control the significant amount or portion of the U.S. housing wealth. You know, often they say it's like 40% or whatever, but actual numbers that we look at are even higher. In some areas, much higher. So when a large share of the housing wealth is held by people who are insulated from rate pressure, turnover naturally slows. That's not emotional, that's structural. Let's talk about longevity. Life expectancy has extended compared to prior retirement generations, thank God. Yeah? But people are living longer. Some, maybe a lot, are working longer, staying healthier longer. So, see, that extends the asset holding phase. So like maybe retirement today could look like 25, 30, 35 years. Who knows, maybe more. Thank God. But that changes the decision making right away. When your income is portfolio based instead of wage based, housing decisions kind of become more, let's call it defensive, because you don't, or you're not able to, just earn your way out of mistakes. You protect. Housing becomes a stability anchor, and stability anchors don't move very quickly. No. So let's talk about integrational support. You see, there's another layer that often gets highly ignored. If you're watching TV, let's call it, you're not going to hear this as much. But homeowners in their 60s, 70s, even 80s, they're still financially supporting their adult children. I mean, that can come in all different kinds of forms, maybe like helping them with their down payments, assisting during inflation spikes, providing childcare for grandchildren in college, maybe offering temporary housing flexibility, whatever it may be. So that asset holding isn't just personal comfort. It's often about integrational stability. I mean, if you're supporting multiple layers below you, you prioritize like stability and predictability. Now, let's look at people that are like in their 40s and 50s. Traditionally, that would have been their peak earning years. But now, often supporting in both directions. Now, maybe they're aging parents, which that could be physical or it could be monetarily, and their adult children below them, maybe early 20s. See, that's just financial compression. Compressed households are cautious households. Let's talk about that delayed entry and constraint. The entry-level buyers. You see, the median first-time buyer age has climbed into upper 30s and continues to trend higher. And I have to be honest, in most markets, is 40 plus. Yeah. Why? Well, the first thing we think of, which is true, is higher price to income. The ratios are, that's just how it is. It's math. Insurance tax increases. And in that bracket, there's still a lot of student debt drag. They have maybe dual income dependency. No. Definitely slower wage growth relative to housing costs. For many younger households, delay is not purely choice driven. No, it's really not, because I hear that a lot. It's constraint driven. Even let's say they have a dual income earner, finding qualifications super tighter than past generations ever experienced. And that's just not perception, that's again math. So we have two different forces operating at once. We've got operational hesitation at the top of the ladder and structural constraint at the bottom. When both forces occur simultaneously, mobility slows across the entire system. Now, I wanted to let everyone know why this, I don't believe, is not 2008, okay? Because in 2008, debt structures collapsed, right? Credit froze, forced selling surged like crazy. supply flooded the market. And today, debt quality is stronger, equity cushions are larger. Underwriting, though, did tighten years ago. We do not see widespread forced liquidation now. And at the top of the market, hesitation is largely optional. At the entry level, delay is often constraint driven. That kind of creates that two-speed market. And when both ends slow for different reasons, the middle will compress. I'm not calling that a collapse, I don't believe that, but it's called compression. And what compression does? When exit slows, entry slows simultaneously. Inventory tightens, transaction volume declines, price movement moderates instead of crashes, decision making becomes more strategic. That is not an explosive market. It's a disciplined one. And disciplined markets reward clarity over reaction. When timelines stretch, tension rises. Younger households may feel delayed. Midlife earners may feel squeezed. Older homeowners may feel, well, they're mischaracterized. But much of that tension, it comes from comparing today's stretched timeline to yesterday's compressed one. And I don't know, expectations just haven't adjusted yet. So, once expectations adjust, the system might make more sense to more people. Okay, I see this across 4 layers in my own life. I've got parents at one stage, me in another, and very early adult children navigating entry. And then a young child who will likely inherit even longer cycle. So it isn't personal failure, it's extended timing. If longevity continues to extend, thank God. If equity remains concentrated in older homeowners, if first-time home buyers continue entering later, then I believe that the housing rhythm many of us grow expected, to knowing it's just not going to return to that old space. And if that's true, the smartest move isn't trying to bleed into that old cycle. I believe we should start trying to understand maybe the new rhythm. And I think that with clarity, we can replace the frustration. Anyways, guys, I love you all. I'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully the voice will be a little bit better. Hopefully you stuck with me and turned up that volume. All right, see you tomorrow.